Such an unexpected turn. Rufus, my stepson, had always been somewhat distant. Even though he lived with us, it felt like there was a wall between us that I couldn't break down. He often kept to himself, lost in his own world, while I tried to reach out to him. One evening, Rufus came home with one of his close friends, Chinedu. I had seen Chinedu maybe 2 or 3 times before, but we had never really spoken. He was tall, with long legs that made him seem even taller, and he had a quiet demeanor. He didn't laugh loudly like Rufus or make much noise. Instead, he moved as if he were deep in thought, as though there was a lot going on in his mind that he didn't share with everyone. Even though Chinedu didn't say much, there was something about him that made you notice him immediately. It wasn't just his height or the way he dressed. It was the way he observed things, slowly and thoughtfully, as if he could see beyond what was in front of him. He had a calm maturity that set him apart from most of Rufus's friends, who were always loud and full of energy. Chinedu, on the other hand, seemed older than his age, as if he had seen and understood more than he let on. When he walked into the house, he gave me a small nod, not overly friendly, but respectful. It was the kind of look that made me feel like he saw everything around him and understood things without needing to ask too many questions. I wondered what Rufus saw in Chinedu, why they were such close friends, but I didn't ask. Something about Chinedu made me curious, though, and I couldn't help but think there was more to him than met the eye. That evening, after Rufus and Chinedu had spent some time hanging out, I went to bed as usual. I didn't expect anything extraordinary to happen. The house was quiet, and I thought it would stay that way until morning. I was already half asleep, my eyes heavy, when I heard a soft knock at my bedroom door. It wasn't loud, just a gentle tap, so at first, I thought it was my imagination or maybe the wind. I lay still, thinking it was nothing and that whatever it was would go away. But then I heard the door open slowly. The creak of the door made me sit up slightly. I turned my head and saw Chinedu standing there alone, the hallway light casting his shadow across the floor. His face was calm, but there was something in his expression that made me uneasy, as if something was wrong. He didn't smile and didn't say anything at first. He just stood there, looking at me, and for a moment, the room felt colder, as if something had shifted. Chinedu's eyes were steady, but there was a strange look on his face that I didn't quite understand. My heart started beating a little faster, and I felt the air in the room change in a way that made me uncomfortable. I didn't know why he had come to my room so late. I didn't know if something had happened or if he needed help. My thoughts raced, and I began to feel a strange tension in the air. I sat up in bed, waiting for him to say something, wondering why he was standing there at this hour. "Is everything okay?" I asked, my voice soft but slightly shaky. I wasn't expecting anyone, especially not Chinedu. He didn't answer right away. He took a step into the room, still silent, before finally speaking. "I couldn't sleep," he said in a calm voice that didn't match the feeling in the air. "I thought maybe you couldn't either." His words made me blink, confused. Chinedu couldn't sleep? Why had he come to me? Where was Rufus? My heart started racing a bit, but I still couldn't figure out why he was standing at my door. It didn't make sense. I felt like something was off, but I didn't know what it was. I should have sent him away right then, told him to go back to his place, but for some reason I didn't. I could feel the weight of the silence between us. It was heavy, almost pressing down on me. I cleared my throat and tried to sound normal. "You should go back to bed," I said, hoping he'd listen and leave. But Chinedu didn't move. He stood there, looking at me with that calm expression. "I thought we could talk," he said, his voice still steady, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. My chest tightened. "Talk? At this hour?" I glanced at the clock. It was past midnight. My mind raced, trying to figure out what he wanted to talk about. Rufus was his friend, not me. Why was Chinedu coming to me? My instincts told me something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I think it's too late to talk, I said, trying to sound firm but not unkind. We can talk tomorrow. You should really go. Chinedu stayed where he was, just standing there, watching me closely. His eyes didn't blink much, and I felt like he was waiting for something I didn't understand. The silence between us grew louder, and I started to feel more and more uneasy. It was as if the room was getting smaller, even though nothing had changed. The air around me felt heavier, like I was trapped in a place I didn't want to be. I shifted in my bed, pulling the blanket closer to me, and that's when I realized I hadn't locked the door. I wished I had. The thought of that unlocked door made my chest tighten even more. Why hadn't I locked it? I never imagined I'd need to, but now, with Chinedu standing there, it felt like a mistake. Something about his presence didn't feel right. I couldn't explain it, but a strange sensation was creeping over me, like an invisible weight pressing down on me. It wasn't just the way he stood there or the fact that he was in my room at this late hour. It was more than that. It was the way his eyes never left me, as if he was searching for something on my face, something I didn't know how to give. My heart started beating faster, and my mind raced, trying to understand why I felt this way. Chinedu was Rufus's friend, someone I'd seen before, someone who had never made me feel this way. But now, everything felt different. The quiet in the room felt strange, and the longer Chinedu stayed, the more I wanted him to leave. But Chinedu didn't leave. Instead, he took a small step into the room, and I felt my heart beat even faster. His eyes held something I couldn't understand, something that made me uneasy. The way he looked at me wasn't like before. It was different, almost as if he wanted to say something, but the words wouldn't come out. The air in the room suddenly felt heavy, like there wasn't enough space to breathe. The room itself seemed to shrink with every passing second. My chest tightened as I watched him take that step, and I didn't know what to do. I had never felt this kind of tension before, and it scared me. I thought about telling him to leave again, but my voice didn't come out right away. It was like I was frozen, stuck in this uncertain moment, unsure of what would happen next. Should I call for help? Should I get out of bed? My mind was flooded with questions, but nothing made sense. Before I could say anything else, Chinedu took another step, then, without warning, sat on the edge of my bed. A chill ran down my spine. His presence was unsettling, and it was clear something wasn't right. My mind raced, and I didn't know what to say. Suddenly, Rufus appeared in the doorway. I thought he'd be angry or surprised to find Chinedu sitting on my bed at such a late hour, but to my shock, he didn't seem bothered at all. Instead of asking Chinedu what he was doing or why he was in my room, Rufus walked in with a relaxed look on his face. He sat casually on the other side of the bed, as if it were perfectly normal for him to be there. His expression was unreadable, like he knew something I didn't. It was strange, as if he was acting like nothing unusual was happening. I looked from one to the other, my heart pounding in my chest. The room was heavy with silence, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Why was Chinedu here, and why didn't Rufus care? I wanted to ask them both what was going on, but my words felt stuck in my throat. The tension hung in the air like a thick fog, making it hard to think clearly. "What's going on?" I whispered, my voice barely loud enough to hear. I wanted answers, but at the same time, I was afraid of what they might say. Neither of them spoke right away. They just sat there, Chinedu on one side and Rufus on the other, as if waiting for something to happen. Rufus and Chinedu exchanged a look that made my heart race. It was like they were sharing a secret, some kind of understanding I knew nothing about. I felt completely left out, like I was watching a movie without knowing the story. My mind started racing with thoughts I didn't want to entertain. "I think we all know," Rufus said softly, his voice almost too calm. It was strange to hear him speak like that, so serious and controlled. I looked at him, my heart pounding. This wasn't the Rufus I knew, the fun, carefree guy who loved to joke. I wanted to understand what was happening, but everything felt confusing and twisted, like I was stuck in a strange dream I couldn't wake up from. You know, Rufus continued slowly, taking a deep breath. We've always kept this a secret, but the truth is, my friends and I really admire you. We've talked about it a lot, and tonight, they gave me the courage to finally tell you how we feel. I blinked in surprise, unsure if I'd heard him correctly. Admire me? My heart raced as I tried to process what he was saying. Was he really telling me that he and his friends had feelings for me? I felt a mix of confusion and excitement bubbling inside me. Rufus was looking at me with serious eyes, and I could tell he meant every word. It was strange to hear him say this out loud. I wondered what it meant for us and what would happen next. Would this change everything between us? I wanted to ask so many questions, but my voice seemed to vanish. Before I could make sense of it all, Rufus and Chinedu moved closer to me, their expressions serious. I could see they genuinely wanted to talk. Rufus looked me straight in the eyes and said, "We've always felt something strange when we see you. It's like our hearts start racing, and we can't help but feel this connection with you." Chinedu nodded, adding, "It's hard to explain, but when you're around, we feel this warmth in our bodies. It's like something exciting is happening inside us. We just wanted to know if you feel it too." I sat there, my mind spinning with what they were saying. They were telling me they felt something special for me, and it made my heart race even faster. I never imagined they could feel this way, and I wondered if I felt the same excitement. It was a lot to take in, and I wasn't sure how to react. Then, to my shock, Rufus and Chinedu started undressing right in front of me. I couldn't believe my eyes. My mouth dropped open as I wondered who gave them the courage to do this. They slowly removed their shirts and pants, revealing themselves completely. There they stood, looking at me with serious faces, as if it wasn't strange at all. "We have nothing to hide from you," Rufus said in a firm, calm voice. My heart raced, and I felt my cheeks flush. I was confused and surprised. Why would they choose to show me this? My mind was filled with questions, and it felt like I was in a dream that made no sense. The room was silent except for the sound of my breathing, which seemed loud in my ears. I looked at both of them, trying to understand what was happening. Rufus had always been my stepson, and Chinedu was his close friend. I thought I knew them well, but now everything felt different. "Are you serious, guys?" I finally managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. They both nodded, their eyes never leaving mine. It was like they were waiting for something, maybe for me to say something or react in a certain way. I felt my heart pounding in my chest, and I wasn't sure what to do next. "Why now?" I asked, trying to make sense of it all. "Why are you showing me this?" Chinedu stepped closer, his expression softening. "We admire you, and we wanted to be honest about our feelings," he said. "It's not just about what you see, it's about what we feel inside." As I listened, I felt a mix of emotions. Part of me wanted to tell them to put their clothes back on, but another part of me was curious. What did they mean by feelings? I had never thought of them this way before. Rufus took a deep breath and said, "We thought you should know the truth. It's hard to keep secrets, especially when you care about someone." I could clearly see their bodies, and I noticed they were both visibly aroused. It was surprising to see them like this, and my own body started to feel strange. I didn't know why I was reacting this way, but my heart was pounding, and I felt a mix of confusion and curiosity. Suddenly, Rufus and Chinedu exchanged quick glances, and I could tell they were both nervous but excited. Then Rufus spoke up. "We planned this evening so we could all have fun together," he said, his voice slightly shaky. Chinedu smiled a little, trying to reassure me. "We thought it would be an unforgettable night, something special," he said. But I wasn't sure I was comfortable with this idea. They looked at each other again, and I could see them sharing some kind of secret I wasn't part of. The atmosphere in the room was electric, like something big was about to happen, and I didn't know if I was ready for it. Rufus moved closer and sat down, and I could see his entire body. He said, "Come on, don't act like you don't like it. Let's do this." His touch brushed against me, and he said, "Come on, enjoy it." It felt soft and warm. Before I knew it, he was slowly pulling the blanket away from me. My body started to feel different, like a warm wave of excitement washing over me. I didn't know why, but I felt ready for something new and thrilling. It was as if Rufus and his friend had planned everything perfectly, making it hard for me to say no. I could feel my heart pounding with curiosity, and a small voice in my head wondered what might happen next. I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness, wondering what they wanted to share with me. It was a moment filled with possibilities, and my imagination started to run wild. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart, eager to see where this unexpected night would lead. As the blanket was slowly pulled away from me, I felt a rush of warmth spread through my body. My heart pounded, and I sensed something special was about to happen. Then, unexpectedly, I felt a soft kiss on my lips. It was gentle and sweet, sending butterflies fluttering in my stomach. I had never experienced anything like this before. The kiss felt like a door opening to a new world full of warmth and curiosity. I could hardly believe what was happening, and my mind buzzed with excitement. The moment was magical, as if time had stopped just for us. I knew this was a special connection I'd remember for a long time. That night, they didn't let me sleep. They encouraged and motivated me, saying it would be fun if we all spent the night together. I could feel the excitement in the air, but after that first kiss, I made my decision. I told them both firmly that I didn't want to go any further. Even though I felt a rush of emotions and my body was curious and wanted more, I held my ground. "The kiss was nice," I said, my voice firm, "but I can't go beyond that." They tried to persuade me with their soft, gentle words, but I knew what I was comfortable with. I appreciated their kindness and attention, but I was clear about my decision. It was a moment filled with tension and understanding, and I felt proud of myself for listening to my own feelings. After a long moment, Rufus and Chinedu decided it was time to leave the room. They had planned for the evening to be full of fun and excitement, but it seemed